Hello, everyone. You know, when I was growing up, I thought my town was pretty weird, pretty strange. It had some colorful characters, if you know what I mean. I'm sure yours was like that too. Let me know in the comments, you know, why you think your town was pretty weird and strange. But I got to tell you, after reading this book, it makes my town look like a Norman Rockwell painting in comparison. Sure, you know, we had meth heads and trailer parks, but those were the only things you really needed to be worried about. But in this town, in the book we're about to discuss, things get really weird, really strange, and really fast. So let's give it a go. So today we're going to be talking about a book called Goblin by Josh Malerman. And, actually the full title is Goblin, a novel in 6 novellas. And that's about an accurate description as you can get, because instead of focusing on just 1 or 2 or maybe 3 characters throughout the entirety of this book, he focuses more on a lot of residents that live in this fictional town called Goblin. That's actually the name of the town, thus the title. But Goblin is not quite your ordinary little city. First, we learn that it rains there a lot. In fact, in this world, Goblin gets more rain than any place else in the world. Its history is very dark. It's filled with violence and how they came to acquire the city of Goblin from Native Americans many years ago, quite violent. And so it has that dark history, the cursed town feel to it. In addition, in the town are something called the North Woods. Now, the North Woods is something every goblineer, as they call themselves, knows not ever to go into. Nobody can go into the North Woods. It's instilled from them from the time they're young, because the North Woods is a very, very evil place to go. For a couple of reasons. One, there's said to be a witch that lives in the woods, and if she finds you in the North Woods, she'll whisper you a tale, and afterwards, it'll make your heart stop, and your body will be left to rot in those North Woods, never to be found by anyone again. If that weren't bad enough, it's also home to something called the great owls, a rare species of bird, owls with glowing red eyes, talons as long and sharp as butcher knives. And for some reason, this very rare species of owl decided to call Goblin home. Or did they decide that? Mysteries abound, my friends. So there are several reasons not to go into those North Woods. And the least of which is that if you do, you'll have to deal with the Goblin police. Now, the Goblin police are people you do not want to have to deal with. The citizens are very, very frightened of the Goblin police. Because one, they don't appear quite human. Their limbs are a little bit longer than normal. Their skin color is grayish. They always wear, anytime day or night, they always wear aviator sunglasses. And when they speak, it does not quite sound human. So this is a world that all these novellas that make up this entire book is set in. Now, consider this, I consider this book like a cross between The Twilight Zone and H.P. Lovecraft. And that's pretty darn accurate, I think. And once you read it, you'll understand that completely. Besides this dark past and strange things that happen almost daily in that town, to the point where it's kind of normal, people living there don't think anything of these things. Every story in here takes place on the same night, in the same world, in the same fictional city of Goblin. And even though each story concerns different members of the town and different citizens, they all interact and come together at some point, if that makes sense. So it's not like it's just an anthology of different stories that are disconnected. They all connect, and it might not seem so at first, but throughout the book, and especially at the end of the book, you'll see how all these elements come together, and the consequences of that. Because it starts out with a simple delivery. A guy from another town gets paid a lot of money to go deliver a strange crate to the city of Goblin on that night. And on this particular night, throughout the whole book, like I said, all the stories take place on the same night. There is a rain that is so powerful and so wet, more than this town has ever seen. And like I said, this town has the most rain of any place in the world. But this storm is so intense, citizens have never seen anything like it. So this package has to be delivered under very specific instructions. Somebody paid a lot of money to make sure these instructions are followed. He must deliver it to a house in Goblin, a very specific address. He has to do it at midnight. And if nobody answers the door by 12:30 in the morning, he is to destroy the box and the contents thereof. He doesn't like it. He's freaked out by it. But for the money, he decides to do it. And that's basically the first of the 6 novellas describing the delivery of that package, of that box, that crate. And then there's a story about friendship gone awry. If you've ever tried to befriend somebody who didn't have any friends, you think you're doing a nice thing, being that guy's buddy. But in this case, Richard and Charles are best friends. But Charles is not right in the head. We know this right away. They met when they were young. And Richard, seeing how his friend Charles was always talked about and teased and picked on, decided to befriend him, and that lasted into adulthood. But then Charles tells Richard a story in his car on this night that changes everything. And I really liked that story. It wasn't the scariest, but it was the most intense, the most suspenseful. And I really like how it's just a story of how far would you go for your friendship? And could that have dire consequences for you in the future? That's always something to think about, because Charles is not right in the head, but Richard, bless his heart, decided, I'm going to befriend this guy because he doesn't have any friends. But that can sometimes work against you. There's a story about the most famous hunter coming out of Goblin, a superstar, a celebrity of sorts in that town. He's a master hunter. And he's having his big 60th birthday party. It's a blast. It's a party. It's a full-on. Everybody's invited from the clerks at the local store all the way up to his political friends. Nothing but drinking, drugging, women. It's going to be a whole blowout at his mansion there in Goblin. But he has other things on his mind, because he wants one of the great owls as a trophy. The only thing he doesn't have is the one thing he wants. And that desire, as you probably know in horror novels, never amounts to anything good. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it, and it cannot turn out exactly the way you want it to. Then there's a story about a man who works at a zoo. He doesn't only work there, he provides all the tours to all the visitors at this zoo. And again, he is not quite right in the head, even though he's like a little celebrity in that town. He's like the face of the zoo because of the tours and because of his quirkiness. Parents think, oh, he's just a funny guy. He's good with the kids. He talks about the animals. But inside is turmoil and thoughts that just shouldn't be there, and dreams he has that are very frightening. Even as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh man, if I had a dream like that, I think I'd be upping my dosage of Xanax or something, you know. If I took Xanax, I don't, but, you know. Dreams like that, if I kept having dreams like that, I would definitely be on something, trying to get rid of them. That's how frightening it was. And then the end of the book culminates and wraps around with the beginning of the book, the delivery of this strange crate with the very specific instructions and what's inside and what it means for the citizens. Now, the thing about this book I really like is that it doesn't answer all the questions about this town. All the mysteries inside will leave you questioning some things, which is great for your imagination to figure out, kind of go with the flow and find out what these characters did after the events. But I'm really hoping that there's a sequel. I haven't checked to see if there was already, because this is not a brand new book, but I really hope there is a sequel. I will definitely read it, because it left me wanting more. All 6 of these novellas fit neatly within that town, in this world, on that same night. They're all equally disturbing in some way or another, and it'll really make you think and make you wonder about a town like this and what it would mean to live there. And like I said, it makes your hometown, no matter how weird it was, seem normal in comparison. It's really a frightening book. It really freaks you out a little bit, right? It pecks away at your mind even after you put it down, and it's just one of those books that for me that just got into me and wouldn't let go even after I read it, and that's a very good thing. I highly recommend it. It's called Goblin, a novel in 6 novellas by Josh Malerman, and I'll leave a link down below. You can purchase it on Amazon if you want to, and I really recommend that you do. It's a great book. It's a fun book. You'll be frightened. You'll be amazed. So yeah, pick it up. And also down below, there's a link to my Twitter. Be sure to follow me on there, and we can tweet weird things to each other. That's always one of my favorite things to do. And I'm lonely on there. I need friends. So leave me a comment below if you've read this book and you want to tell me how you feel about it, or if you plan on reading it. I really appreciate it. And also thank you, as always, for spending a little bit of your time with me. I really do appreciate the people who watch my videos. It means a lot. And I want to say thank you. All right, until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.